Okay, hello, welcome. This is Phil of Discover Tai Chi, and here's another session for Limb Power members. A series of adapted and modified Tai Chi and Qigong movements are for people to enjoy, whether you're seated or standing. You're happy to do both as well. So I'm going to take us through the 8 strands of brocade with some variations, again, seated and standing, and maybe some steps for those people who can do some steps as well. So it's time to take your positions. Make sure you've got some arm space. I'm going to head back a little bit, see if I can get myself in view. That's a bit better. Let's move my plant out the way. There we go. Bit better. So we're going to do 2 hands hold the sky. And we're going to start off with the hands not interlaced. They're just loose. Okay. We're just going to move very comfortably through that movement. Pressing up. My hands might go out the way of the frame, but they come back in, just falling down out to the side. Here we go again. And once again, down to the side. We'll do this 4 times. So this is the 3rd. And the option is, if you wish, you can breathe in with the movement, out as we press up and come down. And maybe just breathe naturally. Okay. Second movement, archer. So if we're seated, think nice and tall in your seat. If you're standing up with me, we're crossing our right hand on the outside of the left hand in front of our chest. This right hand is the bowstring hand. It draws the bowstring. I'm looking to the left and I'm drawing that bowstring, pushing into the imaginary bow, and then I'm letting the bowstring go, letting the arrow fly, balancing out both arms and then letting them fall before picking them up, and this time left hand on the outside. Begin to draw that bowstring, push into the bow, let it fly. And then once again, let the hands and arms relax down. Here we go. Right hand on the outside, drawing the bowstring, pushing, pulling, opening the chest. Could be a breath in, and then you let the breath go as you let the arrow go at the same time. Here we go. Left hand on the outside, draw the bow. Could be a big breath in, and as you let that breath go, let the arrow go too. Excellent. Let me sit down for the next couple of movements, just to join people seated. Okay. Next movement is called parting the sky from the earth. Hold a beach ball. Doesn't matter which hand is on top. This happens to be my left hand, but we're bringing this bottom hand forwards, up, over the top, pressing up, pressing down as we do so. Bring the hands back down together. We've swapped hands in terms of our places. Bottom hand comes up, over the top, press up, press down. Again, have this sense of lengthening before relaxing back down. Let's go. Again, bottom hand turns over. Create this S shape with the arms. Last one, bottom hand. Pressing up, pressing down. And then bringing the hands back together. Hold that beach ball just for a moment and then let it go. Okay. Let's bring some rotation into these movements. Our next movement is called Wise Owl. So I'm turning to my right first of all. Let's just let the hands hang loosely and let's not bring them in. We just turn and look over the right shoulder. And then we turn back to the center before looking over the left shoulder and turning back. Then we can begin to turn the palms out and maybe lift the arms a little as we look to the right again. And then to the left. Maybe just gives you a little more rotation. Here we go, to the right. Maybe just a little more range of motion. And to the left. This is another movement that lends itself nicely, if you feel like it, to a breath in and a breath out as we come back to the center. And then a breath in as I turn to the left for the last time, and a breath out. Back to the center. Okay. Next two movements. Bigger movements involving the head and the torso. I'll stay seated, but I will change to standing up halfway through once we've done one on each side. We want a wider stance. Even if we're seated, we want to have a kind of a base. If you are stood up, give yourself a wider base, shoulder width, or even more than shoulder width, a kind of triangle type stance. Okay, and we're placing hands on hips. We're turning to the right, and then we're going to duck the head and torso under a rope, an imaginary rope. Don't have to go too deep. I duck down and around. I pop up on the left side and recenter. And then I go back down the way I came until I come round on the right side and I recenter myself just like that. So that was me seated. Let me stand up, join those people. Again, I've got this wider stance, give myself a bigger base of support. Hands on hips, turning to the right, ducking under my imaginary rope, underneath, up, and then coming round just like so. Then back the way I came, turning to the left, under the rope. And recenter again. Always recenter. Make sure you feel okay. Sometimes if you get a little bit dizzy, as some people can do when we move our head in these kinds of ways, it's useful to kind of just pause, take stock. Here I go again to the right. Back up on the left. And down to the left for the last time. Like so. And if you get very dizzy, then it's probably best that we don't do those kinds of movements at all. Next movement. We're holding on to a helium balloon. Okay, so it's wanting to rise. We're going to let it rise. And it's going to lengthen us as it goes up and up. And it's going to go out of shot, but I'm going as tall as I can, bringing my hands on top and bringing that balloon back down. All the way pressing it down until I can bring my hands round to the backs of my thighs, and then I'm having a little bow forwards. It's up to you how far you go. The hands drop down maybe to the knees, and then they come round to the front and we bring the hands back up again. Once again, Let that balloon, helium balloon, pull you upwards. Just as it goes as far as you can reach, you bring it back down again. Pushing. Bring the hands onto the backs of the thighs as we take a little bow. Knees can be locked or unlocked as you wish, and maybe you have a little more range of motion. Okay, here we go again. Up, overhead. Hands, bring that balloon down. And then hinging forward. Just about reaching my ankles at this point. And that's probably enough for that time. We'll revisit it in a moment. So those two movements are our bigger movements out the way. If you are standing up, keep that big width of stance if you can. I'm going to sit back down to join those folks who are seated. Again, we're aiming to have a bit of a wider stance. We're bringing both hands in, elbows in, palms up, loose fists. This is our pulling a boat into the shore. We're reaching out with a hand, it doesn't matter which. We wrap around an imaginary rope and we draw a boat out on the water towards us. The more that we can picture the scene as we alternate our pulls with each hand and each arm, the better. So if you can picture the boat and the size and the colour and the material from which that boat is made, make sure it's not too big. Picture the scene in which your boat is found. Is it on a lake or is it at sea? Is it in a harbour? Picture the rope as you grasp that rope and use it to pull that boat towards us. Drawing in. Okay. We're going to do 2 more pulls. Here's the first or penultimate pull. And on the last one, imagine that you bring that boat into shore. Just like so. Okay. Final movement. Bit more tricky. It's, to all intents and purposes, the simplest movement, but actually it's perhaps one of the most challenging ones, particularly those of us with lower limb amputations. I'll start seated. Let's see if I can push my chair back or seat back so you can see my feet. I've got one prosthetic limb, one intact limb. What we're doing is we're lifting. If you're standing up, we're lifting and shifting our weight so our weight comes forward onto the balls of the feet and the heels lift, and we need to hold on to that lift for a little while. I like to think of it as looking over someone's garden fence or wall or hedge, and you're having a little sneaky peek into their garden, okay? But you've got to lift a little bit off your heels. If we're sat down, we can either lift an intact leg, or we can lift the prosthetic side if you happen to be wearing one, or even if you're not, you can lift that limb clear as well. Okay, so here we go. Shall we do 5 seconds? Let's see if we can do a count of 5. So that means that when we've lifted, we're going to hold that position, makes us work, but that's good for our balance. Ready? So we're going to lift, balance. If you're standing up, got to balance in your chair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and come down. You can come down with a bit of a plunk if you like. Okay, let me do that again, seated. Those of you who are standing, get ready. Going to see if we can do 7 seconds. Here we go. Up we go. Lifting. I'm lifting up. Muscles are tightening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we come down. Let me join those people who are standing up. Okay. So it's a shift of weight forward, not just a lift. Because again, if you've got lower limb prosthetics, we simply can't lift upwards like we can with an intact leg. We've got to get our weight going forwards. So that's what we're going to do. It's like going up a bit of a ramp. So we're shifting the weight forward, and then the heels lift. It might only be a little bit, but then we've got to stop ourselves toppling forward. Let's do 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, down on 10. That's quite hard, but lots of benefits. We're strengthening muscles in the torso, muscles in the upper legs. If you, like me, you've got one limb that's intact and one limb that is wearing a prosthesis, then the intact leg is getting some very important exercise as well. Okay, so that was 8 strands of brocade, done kind of in a nice stepwise fashion. Now we're going to put it together as a little bit of a flow. So there's going to be less of me talking and just more of a flow, so that we go from one exercise to the other. So back to the beginning. 2 hands hold the sky. Okay, here we go. So we'll do this 4 times. Just follow along. And just move smoothly. I'm going to have to move away from my plant. There we go. Lifting up, thinking tall, but not stopping in any one position. 3rd one. Here's the last one. And begin to kind of get ready for a transition into archer where we're drawing our bow. Okay, so just sweep the hands down and then immediately cross them. Right hand on the outside, draw your bow, looking to the left. Smoothly release that arrow. Drop the hands. Left hand on the outside, looking to the right. Draw that bow. Let the arrow go smoothly. Here we go again. Right hand outside. Draw the bow to the left. Last time. Left hand on the outside, looking to the right. Draw that bow. Release that arrow. And then smoothly hold that beach ball. Bottom hand coming up, pressing down to part the earth from the sky. Bring the hands together. Alternating which hand is pressing. That's it. I'm going to sit down for these next 2, but keep going smoothly. Pressing up, pressing down. And last one. So we're now kind of just flowing from one movement to the next. Hands on hips, whether we're standing or seated, turning to the right, and we're ducking under that rope, coming up on the left. Recenter. And now back the way I came. That's it. And to the right again. Coming up on the left. And back the way we came. And reset. And then take that helium balloon, let it lift overhead. Bring the hands down. If we're seated, sometimes it's best to put the hands on the sides of the thighs and just follow the legs down. Bring the hands around the fronts and up. Okay, here we go again. Bring that helium balloon down. Smooth transitions between each movement. And again, third time. And finally, fourth. Down we go, last time. Gonna stand up for pull the boat. Wider stance, hands tucked in, elbows. Reach out with an arm, doesn't matter which one you start with. Wrap, pull, and draw that boat in. We're going to do 4 pulls per arm, so 8 in total. Wrap and pull. Wrap and pull. So if you're with me, you might be on your penultimate pull. And this is my last one. Pull. Okay. And we've made it just like that to our final movement. Looking over our heads, seated or standing. Weight going forwards if we're standing up. Going to go for 10 seconds. Once we balance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Down on 10. Down we go. Okay. Going to sit down for the next one. Okay. Those of you who are joining me, lifting the legs, lifting the heel of an intact leg. Those of you who are standing, up we go. 10 seconds again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Down on 10. One more time. Did I say that you can cheat and use support? I know that some of you do that already, and that's okay. Here we go. One more time. Find that balance point. Try not to topple forward. Ready for the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Down on 10. There you go. Excuse me. 8 strands of brocade. Done as a flow. That took us roughly just over 5 minutes. So it just goes to show that you can string those movements together and give yourself a really nice movement break. Just let me take a little drink of water. Okay, so we've got a few minutes before the end of the session. Let's just bring things to a close. So we're going to do a little progression. First movement, Chi Chi. Again, nice movements to be enjoyed by people seated or standing. Here I am standing, but we're picking up the hands just to shoulder height. And then letting them settle. Down we go. Fingers drop. And then once again, could be an in-breath if you wish. lifting just to shoulder height, and then let them settle like snowflakes settling on a calm day. Here we go again. Breath in if you like, followed by a breath out as we just let those hands settle down. Here's the extension or progression. We open the hands outward. Could be an even bigger breath. Then, as we close, we can let the breath go and let the hands fall away. And then once again, lifting. Could be a breath in, opening, and then closing. And now. Here we go. Third and final time with this one. Opening. Closing. Okay, and for the final progression, let me sit down. Join those people. So we're lifting, and this time we're going overhead as far as you feel comfortable, and then bring the hands down. All the way down. For lifting again, could be a big breath in. And then we let the breath go as we let the hands go. Got this idea of no mind in the hands. They just fall away until they can't fall any further. Here we go again for the last time. The hands are going to drop all the way. And then we pick them up and link our thumbs. We come to rest with both hands on the lower part of the abdomen or just below the navel. And now we can just either stand or sit. We might rest our eyes momentarily, take a breath in purposefully, let it go, and just maybe for 30 seconds, maybe, just stand or sit, just breathing, aware of yourself as well as what's going on around you, but just breathing calmly and quietly and just taking everything in and settling down as well. And when we're ready, we part the hands, and that signals the end of the session. So even that little 30-second little breath awareness exercise can sometimes help if we're getting ready for bed, or if we can't sleep, or if we're just feeling a little bit meh, you know what I mean? When you just aren't feeling on it. Sometimes those little breath awareness exercises, even for a little moment, can actually be rather helpful. So maybe try that in your sort of day-to-day routines. Let me stop the recording. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for people who are going to watch later.